What's going on? It's your boy Man Down Zo, 1/5 of the Man Down podcast, but this is Birddawg Brave Talk. And I know it's been a minute since I've been on here dolo, but we ain't gonna talk about that right now. But I'm back, and today we're gonna address this SEC championship game that, as you can see on the bottom line, is today, 4 p.m. Eastern. Not giving no free promo to the station, but I'm sure you'll be able to find it. Um, Speaking of promo, I do want you to go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and share the Man Down Podcast Network on YouTube. Go ahead and do that. All right. Give you a little bit of time. Cool. We're going to talk about this SEC championship game. Everybody been talking about it all week. Everybody been talking about the the UGA defense versus that high-powered Bama offense. But what if I told you that the Bama offense wasn't the best offense that's taking the field in Mercedes-Benz Stadium today? After the intro. Yes, the SEC championship game, UGA versus Bama. There's history, of course. Everybody knows about the SEC championship game of 2019, I want to say, 2 years ago. Everybody knows about the national championship game. Everybody knows about the in-season game of 2 years ago as well, where we had a chance last year, where we had a chance to beat them up at the half. And once again, Bama in the second half, they make those adjustments. And that's the credit to Nick Saban, honestly. He's one of the greatest in-game adjusters that there is. So even games that he's supposed to lose, he seems to pull out. Pause just in case. But he always seems to get those games that you don't expect him to win, or they are slated to lose, just like last week against Auburn. Though I don't think that game in particular had anything to do with Nick Saban per se, but it had a lot to do with Bryce Young on that final drive. I do want to say, though, that offense that everybody is talking about is a good offense. I don't think it's a great offense. That's my personal opinion. I could be biased, but I don't think it's coming from a biased perspective. It's coming from a fact that offense includes more than just skill positions. I think that offensive line makes a ton of mistakes, and they keep Bryce Young running in the backfield. I do think Bryce Young is a great quarterback, and he got some great weapons in Jameson Williams and Mechie, who's been there, feel like 16 years. But they are a good offense, especially when they're clicking. But as we saw last week, that offense is susceptible to not being able to score points, especially when you get pressure on that quarterback, and when you jam those receivers at the line, which I think Georgia has the capability of doing. They can do anything they want on defense. The big thing, I think, where Georgia has the advantage on that side of the ball, before we get into what I really want to talk about, is that front seven, of course, led by Jordan Davis. He's going to take on two blockers every time, and everybody else can beat one-on-one matchups. We're going to cause pressure. We're going to cause chaos in that backfield. And a lot of the times, Bryce Young is very good in that chaos. He can move the pocket, can move just slightly to the left, keep his eyes downfield, run when he absolutely has to. He's good, but I just don't think he's faced the type of pressure that he's going to face, going up against Georgia. I think he got a taste of it last week against Auburn, but Auburn is not known for their great defense. Not this season, at least. They're good, but they're not great. They're far from great. Georgia's defense has been elite. Nobody has scored more than 17 points on them all season, and that 17 should have an asterisk by it, because Tennessee scored with their backups against Georgia backups in the fourth quarter of a game that was already decided. Alabama, on the other hand, which is what I want to talk about, their defense, however, has been giving up some pretty gaudy numbers sometimes to a couple of different teams, and been in some really, really close games. 3 of their last 4 games, I think they probably should have lost if game management was better. And, sometimes you need luck on your side, and I think they had it on that side. But just looking at it, let's see. They gave up 29 points to Florida back in September. Score ended up being 31-29. They barely escaped with that one. Gave up 21 to Ole Miss. Gave up 41 to Texas A&M, the game they lost. They gave up 24 to Tennessee. They only gave up 14 to LSU, but the game was decided by less than 6 points. It was 20-14. So again, an example of that offense not being able to put up a whole bunch of points against a talented SEC defense. And of course, the game we saw last week, they had 3 points up until the final drive of the Auburn game. The ended up final score being 24-22. Auburn scored 10 points, but another game that they probably should have lost. But I want to talk about this defense. This is not a typical Alabama defense that we've been seeing. I know because I watch them every single year being a Georgia Bulldog fan. This defense is susceptible to the run. They've been susceptible to the pass, but when they try to stop the run, they need 6 or 7 in the box. They don't like to do it. They run a lot of different schemes to try to stop the run with just the base defense, but they haven't been able to do it. The linebacker eye integrity and their gap integrity has been horrible, and I would think that it would be the opposite with Christian Harris and Henry To'o, two veteran guys, two guys who have played in big games, but they've been getting fooled, especially on some action when it comes to the tight end, which brings up my next point. Brock Bowers is going to be a matchup nightmare for anybody on that Bama defense. I always tell people when they ask me about the X factor of Georgia's offense, it's not Stetson Bennett, even though he's been much better than he was last year, especially when it comes to not trying to make the big play every time. But it's Brock Bowers. It's the freshman tight end from Napa, California. He's too big for the quicks at 6'4", 225. But he's too quick for the bigs because he can run a 4.40. And we saw an example of that speed when he went up against Georgia Tech last week and took that thing 77 yards to the house on a simple slant. He is just going to be too much. If you get those linebackers matched up on Brock Bowers one-on-one, like they like to do most tight ends, Bama's defense I'm talking about, it's going to be a long day for him. He's going to have a great day. In addition to that, I think that Will Anderson, who is their best pass rusher, who is a problem. Probably going to be a first-round pick, in my opinion. He's a problem. The problem is he's more so of an outside linebacker that they have playing defensive end. Georgia got some big boys on that offensive line, and if you got him with his hand in the dirt going straight up against those guys, I think you kind of limit him in that in that aspect, because he can be a stand-up guy that can rush off the edge and just beat you with sheer athleticism. They've been not doing that. Maybe they'll change it up sometime this game in order to maximize his abilities, but I don't see that happening. This is how they've been playing. He's their best pass rusher, so they put him on the line on that edge to be that best pass rusher. But as long as Georgia accounts for them, I think that they will be okay. We have a lot of bodies. We have some good blocking running backs, good running backs. Another matchup, I think, against those linebackers that could be deadly. And I just don't think that Bama defense is just as good all around as they've been. They've been allowing too many teams to score too many points, and that's just not the staple of Bama. And I think Nick Saban knows it too, which is why he's been so in the past, Nick Saban has been kind of critical of his teams, even the best teams, critical of their play, even when they win big. But he's also been, critical of them, in all situations. But this season, he's taken more of a different approach, and he's been defending the players and bigging up. I've seen him the happiest he's ever been playing against Auburn last week when they were the favorite to win, obviously. But Jordan Hare is a difficult place to play, and it's a rivalry game, so you can never, expect to win a game going into a hostile environment like that. With all that being said, Georgia's offense has been better than a lot of teams, and they have been decidedly better than Alabama's, but nobody is talking about it. And I think that's a credit to Georgia's defense. They've been playing outstanding. Like I said, they're the best defense that I've seen in Georgia ever. And they're probably the best defense I've seen in college football since one of those Bama teams from maybe a couple of years ago. But what people fail to realize is that not only are they a good offense and a good defense balance, they could be a great offense and a great defense. That defense is elite, but I think their offense is great as well. Check this out. compared to Bama, UGA averages more points per game, more yards per carry in a run game, more yards per pass in a passing game, and period, more yards per play. We are number one, Georgia. I'm talking about. I don't play, but that's my squad, as you can see. We are number one in the FBS in offense success rate, which means we have the most successful offense in all of college football. FBS, Power 5, Group of 5, doesn't matter. The margin is great. In Alabama's is 21st. We have the better offense in this particular game, and it's not particularly close. What I will say is they have the better quarterback individually. I think Bryce Young will definitely be playing on Sundays. He'll be a first-round pick in a couple of years. Has all the talent, has the potential and the look of a great quarterback, which is something that Bama, hasn't been able to get consistently, I think, as far as names go. But he's one of those guys that's going to be mentioned of course, he's probably going to win the Heisman this year, but he's also going to be mentioned as a top pick whenever he does decide to come out after junior, senior year. But overall offense, I think they have the advantage. I think Georgia has the advantage. I think they have the advantage on defense, which leads me to my prediction. I think I think Alabama does score. Of course, this is not going to be a shutout game. I think it'll be tit for tat early, but I think Georgia pulls away late. Getting ran down on by Jordan Davis and Devontae Wyatt and Trayvon Walker for 4 quarters is difficult, especially for an offensive line that's been struggling. Having the Kobe Dean running north, south, east, and west, wherever the ball be, is going to be difficult to contain. Nolan Smith, Robert Beal has stepped up in Adam Anderson's absence, and he's been a problem. I just think it's too much for Bama to overcome this year. And to be completely from a fan's perspective, to be completely honest, every Bama game, I normally, I think we always have a chance because we are always in the games. But there has been a difference this year with me in particular. Normally, I'm a little nervous because it's Bama. Normally I have those doubts or those feelings. I don't have that this year. We are clearly the better team on both sides, on all 3 phases of the game, in my opinion. I've seen some people refute that, and I've seen some people say, don't bet against Bama, don't bet against Nick Saban. I get that. Nick Saban is a great coach, one of the GOATs, if not the GOAT of college football. But what I will say is talent that works hard is going to win every time. I think Georgia has the more talented team this year on both sides of the ball. We didn't even mention Darnell Washington, who's basically an offensive tackle with good feet and great hands that plays tight end for Georgia. We didn't mention the fact that George Pickens is coming back. We didn't mention the fact that Jermaine Burton is starting to look like Jermaine Burton. He's getting healthy. Kieris was banged up all year. He's finally not. We're not going to mention Ladd McConkey, who's been the X factor and the difference maker in this offense ever since those wide receivers got hurt. I just don't think Bama's defense has enough to stop the guys that we have on the offensive side of the ball. Defense, we already know. That's the X factor. If Bryce Young can be the best version of himself, it's going to be a game and they're going to be able to score. But I don't know if they're going to be able to stop Georgia. I think that's going to be the difference in the game. And I think by the half of them, it may be a 1-score game. I think by the end of this, my final prediction for this score, hear me loud and clear, 31-14, Georgia. That sounds like a massive thing. I think they're 6.5 underdogs. Alabama is 6.5 point underdogs. But I think it's going to be bigger than that. I'm definitely going to take the over. But, make sure you, once again, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button. I'm coming back with more Birddawg, Brave Talk. Can't even talk. Birddawg, Brave Talk content. Talking about the Falcons, talking about the Hawks. I didn't even cover the great Eastern Conference Championship run that we had, but I'm going to start doing more content right now. Make sure you like, subscribe, and always tune into the Man Down podcast every Tuesday between 9 and 9:30 on Facebook, YouTube, and everywhere you watch podcasts. Peace.